Welcome to Christian Overcomers, and thank you for joining us for this prophecy update. Conservative leaders urge Chic Fil A to reverse betrayal. You know, a lot of you I'm sure you've already heard about this. It's been perceived by many conservative leaders that Chic Fil A has betrayed them because they've announced a new philosophy in their giving program, and they cut out giving to organizations that they've been giving to for a long time. Great Christian organizations like the Salvation Army and some others. And it's been kind of confusing. Why would they do this? Why would they start some new thing and start cutting off great Christian groups? You know, are they trying to appease to the LGBTQ community? Are they feeling pressure, or are they getting greedy for money? What's the deal? You know, conservatives want to have answers. And, I'm always really careful, not to jump on the bandwagon right away. I try to, look at the situation before making up my mind, namely because of verses like, in Matthew chapter 7, Jesus says, "Judge not, lest you be not judged. For with what judgment you meet, you shall be judged, and with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thine own eye?" Okay, so actually we'll go a couple more here. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, "Let me pull out the mote out of thine eye," and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. Okay, so when I read scriptures like this, I obviously, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to, judge Chic Fil A and their leadership and their owner for caving in. I don't want to say they're doing that. If they're not, I want to be really careful about it. And then you have Franklin Graham, great Christian leader. Very very good guy, very trustworthy guy. He says, has Chic Fil A caved? Some are saying that they've rolled over and that they've conceded to the LGBTQ protests because they released a statement about their charitable giving. They announced that in 2020 they're giving to fight hunger and homelessness and support education. What's wrong with that? And then he says, I picked up the phone and called Dan Cathy. Dan was very clear that they have not bowed down to anyone's demands, including the LGBTQ community. They will continue to support whoever they want to support. They haven't changed who they are or what they believe. Chic Fil A remains committed to Christian values. Dan Cathy assured me that this isn't going to change. I hope all those who jumped to the wrong conclusion about them will read this. And you know what? I mean, again, I like Franklin Graham, but there's nothing really concrete about this. I mean, we're just supposed to take his word for it that Dan Cathy and the Chic Fil A that they haven't caved. But Jesus also says, he says, "Do not judge lest you be judged." But he also tells us to discern by testing the fruits. He's in Matthew chapter 7, verse 20. He says, "Wherefore by their fruits you shall know them." So I asked myself, well, what are the fruits of Chic Fil A? In other words, what's going on exactly? Well, at the same time that we hear that Chic Fil A is announcing some new philosophy of how they give now, CBN News comes out with a shock revelation. Family Research Council outraged that Chic Fil A supported anti-Christian group. And that anti-Christian group that they supported, they gave money to, was the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization known to be against, or an anti-Christian organization disguised as a righteous organization. Everybody knows that. All the Christians know that this Southern Poverty Law Center is anti-Christian. Okay? So what in the world is Chic Fil A doing supporting a group like that? See, again, Jesus told us or taught us to test the fruit. Well, I mean, it just seems odd. I mean, we're supposed to rebuke our brothers. I mean, if Dan Cathy is trying to do the right thing, or if he's not seeing that he's giving in and trying to maneuver so that he can escape persecution or whatever, we need to let him know. And we need to let them know we're not happy, that we think they're wussing out on us. Okay? So when I see that, I mean, Breitbart has the same news article. Chic Fil A donates to extremist Southern Poverty Law Center, an extreme left-wing anti-Christian group. Why would you give them any money? Okay? So I don't think it's out of, I mean, I'm not going to totally judge them. Okay? I'm going to leave that. I don't know all of the facts, but I do know when you cut off these, these great traditional Christian organizations, there's a list of them that, that you can find out about, the Salvation Army being one of them. But when you start cutting off those organizations, and then it comes out that you're giving money to the Southern Poverty Law Center, and you're changing your philosophy on how you're going to give, and you're going to, end hunger or whatever, you're going to do all these things. It makes the conservative Christian sort of wonder. There's good reason to. So for me, I'm not going to judge them, but from what I can see, it seems like they're either bowing to pressure. They want to escape persecution. They want to rebrand themselves, or they're trying to expand their markets. And I read a little bit about that. They're trying to expand their markets in different places worldwide. So they gotta, it's possible they're, because they're expanding their markets, they might be having these meetings saying, well, how can we do this without being accused of being hate mongers and anti-LGBTQ and all that. So I'm going to leave it there at that. We'll monitor this situation. We'll keep an eye on it. But I guess a little word of caution to all of us is that many times we can justify to ourselves why we are backing down, or we can justify to ourselves why we want to kind of compromise a little here and a little bit of there to do and think we're doing the right thing. It's a slippery slope. Hey, no matter, if Chic Fil A is bowing down to the LGBT community, thinking that they're going to be liked by them now, forget it. You cannot make a deal with the devil and have him get off your back unless you totally worship him. And even then he's going to bring you to the cleaners. But never before has a right-wing group ever apologized to leftists and have come out being liked by them. They will demand more. They'll demand apologies. They'll demand everything until you're shut out of business. Who wants to give up? I mean, who wants to give them that satisfaction? I would rather go down with, I'm talking spiritually now, swinging all the way till the end than to bow down to these people. Never. And I hope if I ever was, that I'd have a brother that would stand up and grab me and say, hey, you better stop what you're doing, man. You better stand up strong and stop being a wimp. All right. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that little current events message. God bless you. Stay in his word every single day so that you can be a Christian overcomer.